Right, this is Artalian TV. We're looking at another Curiosity rover image. This one is from Sol 647, and we're going to be looking at the background on this one for a change. Now, there's something very odd about this image. What they've tried to do here, by the looks of it, if you see this misty kind of effect here, it looks like they tried to hide some of the detail in this background up here. Now, if you look, before anything's done to this image, if you look carefully, there's a lot of green up here. Look at this. Green, 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 all the way up this hill, up the side of the edge of the crater here on the ridge. Maybe that's what they were trying to hide. Let's have a closer look in Paint Shop. There's the image again. It's a totally raw image. No effects or anything applied to these. This one here is the raw image. This is the same image, just being enlarged up to 1920 pixels. Right, let's look at the raw image here. I'm going to zoom in. Now, first of all, this whole area here is green, basically. Now, for that green to show through the filters they put on these images, it must be. It has to be very bright green for it to even show up. There's even some in the middle ground here, in the middle distance, which is extremely grungy. I mean, they've really tried to hide the detail here, and maybe this is what they're trying to hide. Other people have found what look like plants and even trees on Mars in the northern polar regions, or the melt zones as they're called, which tend to turn green every year. In fact, in the autumn every year, or in the spring even, they turn green. Mars is not completely red. There are green parts of Mars. Anyone who says otherwise hasn't done the research. Let's enhance this anyway. Let's just do the whole image. In fact, what we'll do, we'll use the larger one, because this one is, it's better to work with a larger image, I think. This is probably more like the size it was taken. Right, let's go to color balance. Let's just give it some daylight. That actually hasn't helped. Right, okay, let's undo that. Right, should raise some contrast. Let's try that. Let's try bringing it up. There we are. Look at this green. All nice and green. This is grass. Some of this stuff's been smudged out. Look at this block here. There's blocks of areas where they've tried to cover up stuff. There's some strange circular thing here. Let's just do the contrast a bit more. Sorry about it. Let's darken it a bit more. There we can see the green. There we go. Right. There's that strange circle. I mean, that may be a crater, but it looks a bit odd. But look at that. Look at how they blocked out a lot of this stuff. They tried to destroy a lot of the detail in this background, and it actually looks like it may be a composite image. I mean, if you look where I darkened it, the image here, you've almost completely lost the foreground. Now, I haven't darkened it much. It's only been darkened about 30%. So what the hell's going on here? Now, it looks to me like they've actually used two images, and they've taken the background from one image and they've pasted it over what was probably the original background for this image, or the other way around. They could have done it with the foreground. They could have pasted over the foreground with information from another image. Either way, this is very suspicious when you darken it. To have that amount of difference in darkness and contrast in a normal image is, I've not come across this before. I've been darkening and mucking about with these images for years now, In fact, I've been working with NASA images since about 1990, and working for Dr. Ian Redmond, who's now ambassador to the United Nations, in fact, working on images of Africa, making maps of Africa to help save the some of the rare gorillas that live up in the mountain gorillas, in fact, in the Virunga volcanic chain. So I know a bit about mountains, I know a bit about NASA images. I've worked with them for a very long time, and some of these Curiosity images really are a bit of a joke, to be honest. I'm not the only person to say this. A lot of people are getting quite fed up with these images being manipulated, over compressed, pixelated and blurred. I mean, what the hell's going on there? I mean, that's just not right at all. There should be much more of a smooth transition between this middle ground here and the background. I mean, that's just crazy. Also, another interesting thing here. Now, this may just be matrixing going on here. I don't know. I don't know if you can see it. Let's try and enhance it. There's an enormous image of a skull in this hillside or mountain, whatever you want to call it. Let's do some contrast on it. I don't know if that's going to come out brilliantly because it's about 2 miles away from the rover by the looks of it. Let's try that one. I might just do it. And it's pretty vague. I mean, this would probably take a little bit more work to bring out properly. What I'll do later in this video, I'll take a clip of this and enhance it a bit more carefully for you. This is just a quick, but you can see here 2 large eye sockets. It looks humanoid. There's a sort of nose here, and are these teeth there? I'm really not sure. This may just be a coincidence. It may just be me. I mean, I've seen so many skulls on Mars now that I'm starting to see them everywhere I go. You know, you get haunted by these things. This may just be random shapes that happen to look like a skull. I don't know, but who's to say? I mean, there's so many massive anomalies in some of these images. Now, obviously, the backgrounds have been tampered with. A lot of the foregrounds have been tampered with. We know that. This may be nothing. Who's to say? But I will do a clip of it for you and get some more detail from that to have a closer look. There's definitely something going on back here. It's not just hillsides and mountains. There seems to be something covered up here. Some rather strange looking structures here, whether it's buildings or what, it's hard to say. The pixelation on this is pretty bad. Let's go darker here. Let's see if we can get some of that out. Sorry. Let's go again. Let's try a different one. That's the one. Okay. Hard to say, really. There's definitely something there, but it would take a bit more work to get some of this stuff out. I think Pascal would probably do a better job of this one, but there seems to be some sort of structure here. These look a little bit like buildings. Let's go a little bit darker again. Let's just take the darkness down a bit. Okay. Yeah, maybe you can see these. I don't know. As I said before, I'll do another clip of this and enhance it a bit more carefully for you. This is just a quick working. But there's something very odd about this image. And look at this. I mean, look at these colours here. Bright green all over the place. And if we go back to the original image, that green is already there. I haven't added that green. That green is there. You can see it in the original image, even though they've tried to paste it out or ghost it out here. They've not done a very good job this time around. They usually do. But I do wonder what they're actually doing over at NASA. Some of these NASA employees are probably fairly well trained in editing and mucking around with images, but maybe some of them aren't so well trained. Maybe some of them are having a bad day, or maybe some of them are deliberately letting some of this stuff through. Maybe they want us to see this stuff. Who really knows? I'm not sure they're trying to hide everything, or maybe some of them are just a bit sloppy. I mean, look at the green here. There's also some down here in the foreground on this ridge. Probably moss. I have found moss and very small plants in some of my other videos. You can check my channel for that. Generally, these plants are very small and are easily covered up by over compressing the images. The pixelation will soon get rid of any detail of any vines or leaves, unless they're right up near the camera. And this is a distant shot. There's no detail here whatsoever. It's ridiculous. There's nothing. But they let the green through. However much they filter this stuff, they're not managing to stop everything. That's the main thing. Now you just play around with the contrast. I'm not adding any colour here. I'm just playing with the contrast, and that green just pops straight out. It's interesting stuff. Here we go. I mean, look at it. And this is crazy stuff. Okay. More image clips to come later. Right, this is the skull part of the image that I was on about earlier. Just showing you some of the enhancements that I put onto it. Real basic stuff, contrast, brightness, obviously drawn around the object, or here we are, I've selected around it, and then just, now we're seeing the animation in reverse, clicking back through the steps I took, back to as it was before I started. There we go, there's the raw image. Now we're going to look at the green area that I pointed out earlier in the video, with that little circular thing there. I've selected the background and darkened and up the contrast. There's the negative of it. You can see the structures. I've actually used the burn tool there just to pull out some of those what look like building structures in the background. Who knows, they may not be. There we go, and I'm just going to reverse that animation just to show you what I did. I did use the burn tool and the contrast and the usual settings as I showed you before. Nothing too elaborate there. And then back to the raw image. So that was that in reverse. Now, this is just the end of that sequence. Now we're going to take a look at the foreground. This is the join between the foreground and the background, which is very dodgy. But just no colour added there whatsoever. This is just contrast, and out comes the green. Loads of it. It's green all over the place. Thanks for watching. Artanian TV. See you soon.